welcome back to our top 16 OCS coverage. I'm Justin, joined by Drew. We're watching Bastian against Silverglen, Justin Branch, and they have started their game already, so we're going to jump right into it.
Yes.
Um, so we've got Watto for Bastion and TRM for Silverglen.
And Silverglen, looks like he's starting a standard. He's got aim high, walkling, and I'm sure we'll see. Oh, he's playing the guts version. Interesting.
Oh, so this is
And Bastion starting according to my design, so he's gonna have the Emperor out.
right. That's probably
So
what I would
this is
expect from a
the
Watto deck in this matchup.
oh for sure. Yeah, I mean it's I think any deck that can afford to that has the ability to flex into according to my design almost always does, right?
Yeah.
It's too powerful an advantage not to get that free body out on turn one.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Um,
interestingly, he's starting Quad Drive and Nichubana is pretty typical, and starting Crush the
yeah,
Rebellion to get around Clash, I would assume.
yeah,
Makes
which I actually wouldn't expect to see Clash in this list.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
Because he started Guts instead of Sator, he might not have lightsabers.
yeah. If he's playing a build similar to what MHT played the other day, then he would still probably have EPPs. So there's still that.
That's right. We see Bastion plays Imperial Command to grab Oswald before Justin activates Force, so he can't grab it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think for a third effect slot, if it wasn't Crush, I think wipe them out could be good. We get a Force on turn one here.
yeah, wipe is certainly
Um,
what I would have expected. Sorry, I have to mess with my window a little bit because I seem to have cut off part of the bottom. All right, Twitch chat, you
but
guys will have
on
to
the
let me know
other
if I got
hand,
that right.
yeah, I see them too. Yeah, you're a little cut off on the right side, it looks like.
Yeah.
I think you're good now. Yeah,
I think it's a very slightly cut off on the right still. Should have probably realized that. Okay, there we go. All right, I think we got it now.
uh, and obviously the other reason he could be starting Crush is just he wants to pull Monarch, right? I do know that Bastion, having played him a few times, generally likes to have Monarch and Grimtosh in his list.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny because Bastion's also notorious for drawing lots of cards. He both wants to do it himself, but also punish those who on the opposite side. Though Crush itself sometimes can just be a bluff, right? Like if you see someone start Crush, you'll never draw to 13 because it's too
Yeah.
likely to have mana.
I
So
mean,
sometimes as a next level, they'll just won't play the mana.
Crush is also an interesting, a like very reasonable choice to play from Watto because Watto really likes having the recurable uh, card pulling to use with the objective. Um,
It does have the Chance Cube, which Watto pulls,
yeah, but
but
Chance Cube
having an
doesn't.
extra card doesn't.
Yeah, Chance Cube doesn't really do anything. So like
That's true.
it is a use five technically, but it's certainly a use five that you don't really want to get into a situation where you play it because you really want to
have
know.
Have you ever played Chance Cube? You're a pretty big Watto player, aren't you? I know
I've
you
I've
played it with like the Jawa beatdown, right?
yeah, I've played a fair bit of Watto, and I have never actually played the Chance Cube. Um, so, uh, and of course, the other thing too is with the according to my design start, he can pull Force Lightning whenever he wants to. So that's also another pullable
Right.
card to put back. Um,
Yeah.
so Silverglen got a pretty good start. He just open-handed Boss
Yeah, I got
Chamber
it.
and JCC.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you normally approach this matchup as a Watto?
Uh, well, so the Watto player really in this matchup from what I've played of it, you really still want to be on your plan of setting up on your locations, but it's really important to protect against the beatdowns a little bit more than you otherwise would. You can't spread the way that you do against No Idea or a lot of other decks. Um,
Right.
and I would say, I guess I'm not super familiar with the Guts build, but I would imagine, well, actually, as I'm thinking about it now, so he wouldn't probably have solo. He would probably have
Yeah,
Leia
normally
Organa.
EP.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've actually seen this guts build twice now, both times against Greg Shaw.
Mm.
So this morning Baroni played it against Greg Shaw,
Ah, okay.
and he doesn't have solo. He uses EPP on, but they do play Leia Organa,
Yeah.
and he did also have a Might of the Republic to pull in. Um, so
Yeah.
obviously these could be different lists. Silver Glen and Baroni are on different teams.
Of course.
Yeah,
Well, I think
but it is possible.
the crush is also very valuable here because even if you're only expecting EPPs as the lightsabers, um,
Mhm.
you still want to make sure that Watto is in the battle during the battle destiny step, uh,
Yeah.
and certainly there's plenty of ways to counter blaster proficiency, so that's not that bad. But crush is probably the best way to counter clash. So. All right, so he does the
So
standard.
Bastian gets his Mustafar.
Yeah, he does the standard thing, pulling Sebulba, causing a couple force loss, and then pulling Mustafar and the sight.
So Taco Bill asked in the chat, why are people playing Guts without a third effective chart? Your 60th card really better than just the farm card or Sator. I am surprised that you wouldn't float the farm card. Like, I mean, I must be allowed to speak is so powerful against Watto and entanglements, right? And those are both certainly Watto is definitely within Bastion's range. Bastion's played a lot of Watto.
Yeah,
Silvermoon wouldn't float that.
I
The power +1 to guts is still important because the deck is going for a Jedi Presence beatdown. So that extra power and forfeit.
yeah. So those not familiar with guts, I admit I've not seen it very much.
Yeah.
We have some things that will happen at Cloud City or Jabba's Palace, which is definitely not going to happen this game. But then we also have unique ability rebels of ability less or equal 3 get power and forfeit +1. And then
That's
also
basically it.
yeah, yeah. Bastion's certainly not going to be a Trivium Force with Scum and Villainy this game. That's not a thing. So,
Yeah, but the deck maxes out on every relevant character with ability equal to 3. It's
mm-hmm.
Leia Organa, it's EPP Han, Hera, Wedge Antilles,
Yeah,
Rogue Squadron Leader.
I believe there was an Admiral
So
Radis in MHT's list.
Yep, there's an Admiral Radis, Admiral Akbar, because it's at least again if it's the same list, it's a launching assault
Yeah.
home one package for the space. So I do kind of agree with Taco. I think you do. I would definitely consider floating the I must be allowed to speak because there's a couple of top tier dark side decks with Watto and entanglements where it'd
Mm-hmm.
just be so fantastic to have that.
Yeah.
And then you really are covering a lot with that effect. Then you're either covering ISB where giving power +2 and forfeit +2 is big, or court obviously Guts is an anti-court card.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could cover IE and Watto if you had to be allowed to speak.
I would actually be really curious if there was a possible build of this that played I Must Be Allowed to Speak instead of Insurrection.
Yeah. Or a build of this that plays I must be allowed to speak instead of Walkling, as Throne Room won't be able to play Walkling as of Wednesday.
Yep. Fair enough. Oh, did they say that it's going to be live on Wednesday? I missed that.
The unstated goal that they're really pushing for, from what I understand, is to have the errata up as soon as round 2 of OCS starts.
Yeah,
We just see Silverglen drawing a bunch of cards and saving force.
yeah, he's trying to set up to be able to attack here, which is I would say likely more difficult for this build than it would be for a Saito or TRM, because this build wouldn't be running Leia's Blaster without a way to pull it. Which is another common way to get Watto off the board. Because the trouble, obviously, is attacking into this stack of characters at the junkyard, you're not going to get any Destiny unless you have Leia Organa or another character that draws off Enable. And it's not clear to me what other character that would be. I guess there's probably a Jin, right?
Yeah.
So Jin would be able to draw off Enable.
Jin Leia Organa. It might run Might of the Republic to find Jin. Yeah.
To find Leia. Yeah.
Sorry, Leia's. Yeah, without Leia's Blaster and probably not a lot of EPPs. So you might not. It probably isn't running Blaster proficiency.
Yeah.
Because it probably just doesn't make sense with the card slots. And then obviously Clash is not available because of Crush. It's gonna be
Yeah.
really hard to remove Watto from battle.
Yeah. So I mean, you can go in and hit Watto with any weapon because that'll almost certainly happen. But you're gonna probably eat something in the you're probably gonna eat something in the battle. You're likely only gonna kill Watto, and then you
Right.
get counterbeat pretty easily. I mean, also Bastion's had a couple of turns here. I guess not a couple of turns, but um, a little bit of time to set up his hand a little bit and find a replacement Watto. So like if you go into a battle with an EPP, lose the EPP, kill Watto, and then they just deploy another Watto, that's pretty terrible. So
How many Wattos do you normally run in your Watto list?
mine usually had three. I believe though he did use the site text to find this Watto, which I think is
Yes, this
actually
one.
is not actually indicative of whether he had one in hand or not. Because I think typically what you would do is pull one from deck if you as the first thing you would do, even if you had one in hand. So
We also see Bastion use quite drive yards this turn to play Tatooine.
hmm
So this is probably all the sites in the deck, right?
usually yes. The build that I ran usually had wipe to generate some extra activation.
So Silver Glen uses 2 force to make him pay to play the card. A free Admiral Ozzel
Also,
now costs. Oh,
oh, but
Silver
he
Glen
didn't.
hasn't.
He didn't.
Wow, Justin, he didn't. He doesn't have Goldenrod or Professor.
Yeah, that's actually. I wonder if Bastion kind of autoplayed that and didn't realize that the Goldenrod shield wasn't out because clearly, like you would choose Admiral Ozzel so that it wasn't a huge loss if you. Well, actually, no, that doesn't make sense. You would probably pull something that would normally cost you more than 2 force anyway, and something you wouldn't
Right.
want to put back because you don't want Ozzel floating in the deck. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not really sure what happened there.
Yeah. I wonder, and did Silver Glen just like soul read him and know not to pull the shield here? Like, it's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean that's so tough to do with the timing in our game though because once Silver Glen passes back with the objective flipped, like Bastion can just do it and there's nothing there's
Yeah.
no window to interrupt
Right,
it.
right.
So yeah, interesting. I'm
I
not
mean, I
sure.
guess Bastion's hand might have been stuff that he didn't want put back, but he didn't have any other good
Yeah, he,
uh
he didn't want to expose
thing to
anything
deploy.
or yeah.
Right. And so he's like, well, if he makes me pay 2, I don't want to lose 2, right? Because don't you lose 2 if it's like an interrupt. You
Yeah,
can't
you
deploy
lose
it.
two. You lose two if you can't deploy it. Yeah.
Right. So he's probably just literally like, you know, the safest thing is Ozzel because he wouldn't want to have to, maybe the only other card in his hand is like a ship that he doesn't want to. Then,
Yeah. Yeah, because if he's familiar with this TRM build, like a weapons TRM build, you'd probably be safe with the ship because you have Ozil in hand.
mm-hmm.
So like you could just
Mm-hmm.
put Vengeance and Ozil, and then you're probably okay. Um, but this build is liable to have like the version that MHT played had Home One and
Yep.
Admiral Akbar, and then
Right.
drew like 5
Right.
destinies against ISB in space. So
Yep. 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 So he can't just throw out vengeance and
yeah,
call it a day.
yeah, not with a
We see,
21 force active.
yeah. So
So
we see a large deployed Espa with Han, Luke, and Radis, and Saw.
yeah, getting our last licks in with Sagar as he currently stands. Um,
Well, Agaro is still gonna be pretty good after a while, I think.
yeah. Hmm.
Interesting evac control here.
Yeah. Interesting playing evac control while you're representing drawing multiple destinies.
Yeah, and stacking another card that draws multiple destinies. I wonder what he's worried about here. Like, what in Watto do you see drawing multiple destinies?
So depending on the build of Watto, and this is actually one of the reasons I like Watto a lot, is there's a lot of flexibility in the character package. Like everything he's
Oh,
run so far would
yeah.
indicate to me that there's probably more of a Death Squadron space package going on, would be my guess. In which
Yeah,
case your
which I know that is
multiple
the version he likes to play.
Yeah, it's like in which case your multiple destinies would really come from Garrison or Tarkin. Um, but just as likely coming from Veers, which wouldn't really change anything here through the
Yeah,
evac
it doesn't
control.
even
So,
affect the
um,
red.
I mean, I've been quite a fan of the Trade Federation build. So then you would have
Hmm.
EPP Lord Maul and Newt Gunray. So together you'd be drawing two destinies, and each of them would be +1. So evac control is quite good against that. Um,
Yep, yep.
I mean, uh, I would be a little worried here.
Blizzard's got
So
one.
yeah, Blizzard's got one settles a little bit of that. I was say I'd be a little bit worried here about a Jedi Presence defensive beatdown.
I
Because
think that Blizzard's got one is going to make him lose 2 force and walk right over to the
yeah,
Stunkfield if I had to guess.
that seems likely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other advantage of using
In
Ozzel as
fact,
the card. So
yeah,
Silvergun just loses two redundant speaks from hand.
yeah.
Wild Chance Cube can generate multiple
Um,
destinies, but if I remember, I'm going to be really embarrassed if I misremember this because how much I've played the deck. But I believe Watto's Chance Cube only works while Watto's in the battle, which is certainly something that Watto never wants to be the case. So,
yeah,
uh,
well, you had said earlier that you've never actually played it,
yeah,
despite all the times you played Wada.
I don't
Do we
believe.
see him setting up here with Tatooine occupation?
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
it's
that.
probably bad, or Bastian was holding back on the ship
Yeah,
until Silver Glen dropped a large deploy. And then after this large deploy, he feels comfortable that, with 14 force, that's not going to be enough to really make him be punished for having the vengeance.
yeah. Especially,
Might see Ozzel shuttled up
I would guess Ozzel. Oh, interesting. Oh, maybe Ozzel and the Scout are going to shuttle up.
in the scout. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. I mean, it seems like the scout served good purposes anyways, as like extra forfeit fodder. But I also wonder if
Yeah.
he played the scout instead of a character because he didn't want to risk getting barriered and then
Mm.
beaten down.
Yep. That's a good thought. That seems pretty likely, I would say.
One one kind of tidbit about Bastion that I do know is that he doesn't always run a Hujix or a Gek. Um, yeah, sometimes likes to exclude those from his deck list, especially if he thinks that it's very unlikely he'll be beaten down.
Well, Adam, I gotta say, Bastion is without question a better player than I am. So, um, the big thing that I'm always leery of with playing Watto's Chance Cube is not having a good enough knowledge of the percentages of whether I'm likely to blow myself out with it or not. So, I do not doubt that Watto is or that Bastion is better at doing those math percentages in his head than I am. So,
So we see Might of the Republic grabbing Bail Organa.
hmm.
So this might be a different list than the one that MHT played because he might in 3 force to grab an effect. Oh, he's gonna launch this.
Yeah, still launch the
I
assault.
guess he is.
I mean, it's
So
not.
it is still the home one package,
Well,
but Bail Organa.
it's also not unreasonable for him to be playing a Corellian Corvette. Um,
Oh, of course, because Radis pulls it.
yeah, and I believe Bale should. Yeah, Bale works aboard any Corvette. Um,
He does.
you still, well, and actually, since the deck is heavy on ability 3 rebels, making any of them the pilot. That seems within the realm of possibility.
And he probably wants to play the Might of the Republic anyway, so to get Leia. So
Yeah,
that's pretty easy. Hard to tag along.
yeah,
So yet another example of I don't see what this evac control is.
yeah. The evac control seems like it's. I mean, maybe it's an emergency thing, but
Right.
then it's kind of just doing 3 damage to you for not a lot of gain.
Yeah, because it's sort of like I mean, when he set up that site, you can almost guarantee that Watto was never going to attack that site.
Yeah,
With those 4 guys there, so I would think that you could at least hold on to your evac for a couple turns until you see you might need it.
yeah. So we get the drain of 2, lose the starting or the alternates, the main starting interrupt prepared defenses, and then a tyrant from reserve, which I believe should be another Death Squadron Star Destroyer. It is.
Yeah, it
So
should be. Bastion verifies Silver Glen's deck and says interesting. The Silver Glen used launching
hmm,
assault but did not find home one.
that's curious. I don't know
Yeah.
why Silvergun would do that. So
Yeah.
he pulled launching before activating. So it makes sense that he wouldn't necessarily 100% know that it's in deck.
Oh, he just said I didn't mean that. He said
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because obviously he could just use insurrection as his
Yeah,
verify.
yeah.
I mean, I'd be curious to see.
If there's a revert,
I mean, it's awkward because obviously he used it once per game, but if he was trying to read something, and clicked it by mistake.
yeah, that's a
Um,
relatively easy misclick. So
yeah, and I mean, he could justify it to Bastian by saying, look, I do have insurrection in play. I would
yeah,
just click that first. Bastian denying the revert.
yeah, yeah. There, I believe there's actually like three different things that Silver Glen could use to verify instead of using launching here. So he used insurrection. He could try to deploy a Yoda. He could use bomb stance chamber. So well, that misclick could be.
Let's
Oh, I
see
think
here.
Bastion may just want clarification on exactly
Yes,
what
I
had
agree.
happened there.
I
Yeah,
agree. I would think when he said didn't mean that, that what he meant was like he was trying to read Tatooine or something.
yeah,
Because
uh,
if he says didn't mean that I meant insurrection, Bastion's gonna be like, well, that was a mistake, not like a misclick.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here we go. I clicked on the card instead of swiping up on iPad. Let's see. Bastion's gonna
We are having an Among Us style discussion about how suspicious the story sounds. Um,
I, in my little interactions, think Silverglow's a pretty good dude.
yeah.
So, and Bastion just said, "Oh," but I think Bastion's previous
Oh, yeah. I
that does
think
not sound plausible.
was
Was
about
referring
the
to
clicking on
previous.
insurrection instead of launching assault. Which, yeah, that would be a little bizarre.
Yeah,
They're pretty far apart from each other. But yeah, if he's playing on iPad, then I don't know. I have no idea how the interface goes there. So
Bastion. Guess playing on iPad is pretty dangerous. Then
yeah, this just
I've never played it on an iPad. Fascinating learning of the technical things of
yeah.
the game.
I was gonna say that in terms of determining what build of Watto the opponent would be on, the Trade Federation build that I've been leaning towards runs the the Tatooine set, Dark Side Tatooine,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you use so many copies of Lord Maul, um,
Yeah,
so you get the extra drain bonuses. Sebastian's still not granting the revert here.
I
Um,
agree. Stuff.
which yeah is I mean his certainly his right to do. And so we're gonna have to kind of recalibrate here to try to find home one.
Yep.
3PO
Uh,
3PO may
I don't
help
want to
though.
dwell on
So
it. I would say I disagree. But yeah,
yeah,
people should help. Yeah,
yeah, 3PO should help. And then I mean without the actual home one here, there's not really a lot of reason to use the rest of his force. So we can just draw a bunch of cards here. Although I guess there is a known Evader Monarch running around, so you can't just draw up. But
yeah, and also if the home one is in the force that he used for waffling, I mean
yeah,
it's pretty bad for him.
firepower shield pulled, but not going to do anything because 3PO does not have ability.
That's true.
I'm looking forward to that minigame
I've
no longer
misspelled
be
a
a
few
thing.
times. Yeah, you're happy with the blinking on those shields?
I mean, I was a proponent of mirroring them, just making it
Yeah,
so
that's kind of how I felt too.
yeah, just making it so that um, both of them said if opponent excludes a character or moves away, then they lose two. Um, reducing the loss to one would have also been fine, um, but blanking them seems reasonable. In the discussions that people have had on the forum about it, it has come up that the retrieval part of it is a little wonky to be on a shield, which I
Yeah,
actually kind of agree with. Um,
I agree.
so just taking that out completely. Also, like the retrieval aspect certainly seem to be incentivizing you to interact with your opponent in some way, um, but I'm not really sure if that actually works. I'm not really sure if it actually does that. So
Yeah, I agree.
so we have the
So we see
balanced.
balanced attack to take an admiral or general in hand.
Yeah, I seem to recall this was a card that was played in an earlier covered match as well, a similar kind of matchup. Um, on principle, I believe the idea
Why
being,
not leadership?
yeah, I believe the principle being that it was a card that you could use that would cover the same used function as leadership in the early part of the
Mhm.
game, um, but A, not expose your leadership to being grabbed, and then B, potentially letting you pull two admirals or generals on turn one.
That makes sense. I Man, it'd be hard for me to justify that, I think, but I understand the logic.
Yeah.
We just see some damage going here. We see some drains. We see Silver Glen losing cards out of after the bounce attack. You lost. Keep your eyes open from his use. A Jin from reserve.
Uh,
Bastion is just looping Watto's Chance Cube for the damage. It looks like.
yep. We got the Blizzard 4 for the
Blizzard
flip.
4. Yep.
Uh,
Wow. Just
and
never. You never pulled the shield here.
yeah, no Goldenrod
Uh,
shield is coming back on him
I think
now.
Goldenrod versus Watto is always. I mean, obviously, you often don't pay for Watto, but even then, Blizzard 4 is definitely a card they're always going to buy. No escape for
Yeah.
Tyrant. So Ashen redeploys plays that this turn. You could then move over Blizzard 4 or shuttle it up. Pay one.
I would assume that Bastian must conclude that
Lucky.
Tyrant's going to be important to his game
Yeah,
plan
he
here.
wouldn't bluff it here.
Um,
Yeah.
well, because the other thought is one of the things that I have kind of enjoyed doing with Watto is, well, I guess it is more applicable against Goldenrod, but using putting down things like Image of the Dark Lord and Phantom Menace and
Mm.
effects that deploy for free anyway, so that you just get make your opponent use two
Wow.
force and then you don't use two yourself. He did put the Tyrant down though.
He put the Tyrant down. The
Oh,
Silvergun still has not pulled the shield.
yeah.
Make him pay two. That's four free force this turn for Bastion.
Kind of six because of the Blizzard 4, right?
I was kind of Blizzard 4. So two for the Blizzard 4, two for the Tyrant, right? Was there another one you missed?
Well, I guess that's true. He deployed the Admiral also, which would be free anyway, so that doesn't. He didn't actually save anything that way.
How does that work? I think he'd actually have to pay two.
Oh no, you're right. Yes, sorry. If I was misunderstanding. Yes, if he had Goldenrod, he would have to pay two for Admiral also. Yes.
Yeah. So
Um,
six force in the game and four force on this turn.
yeah.
A pretty crucial turn for Bastion. He's really bunkering up in space, and
Yeah.
if he can, now he's got force to shuttle up Thrawn and Blizzard 4. Or I guess he could have shuttled up for one if he just left Thrawn Blizzard 4. But he can really fortify with 4-foot fodder. Um, and just really gives him a lot more options. We see Thrawn moving up.
Yeah. Thrawn's certainly going up. I would imagine Blizzard 4 is moving over.
Yeah, I would maybe. I guess he's pretty happy with this setup.
Yeah.
I would actually consider shuttling up Palpatine, but I guess for now you're okay. I just think he really wants to get a lot of forfeit in space because um, Silvergun is committed so much to the site already that it
Yeah.
feels like his only avenue for attack is probably in space. But really, I don't think Bastion needs to do too much more. He's very well fortified at both these. He's
Yeah.
getting in 3 damage a turn. He's
Yeah.
got two tough nuts to crack here.
Both these locations feel pretty safe. And yeah, having the Death Squadron assignments in hand makes a lot of sense as to why you'd put Tyrant back. Because even if Silvergun loses two force, then you just pull it with the Death Squadron assignments.
We'll see
Mark
him
and
get Mark in Blizzard 6 with Death Squadron assignments.
yep. So representing the ability to use the objective again next turn. Silvergun misses with
Silver
the
Glen, he uses another once per game pull and misses. I'm
yeah. I don't
intrigued by that.
understand why he would use that one.
I guess it might be another misclick with his iPad, but I would think after the first one, he would be
Well,
very cautious with that sort of thing.
I would I I would guess that he used that once per game pull because the result of that pull didn't matter a lot. He wasn't overly concerned with actually finding the Corvette. But if it was in the 5, he definitely wanted to not have it in there when he used 3PO. As opposed to like using the
Right,
Boss Nass chamber pull here, because there's no way that there's a Boss Nass in his deck. I don't think. Um,
right.
so it
Makes
was
sense.
partly to get the look at the 5 cards, but also like on the off chance that the Corvette's
Before you get the
findable in
play
there.
phase.
Yeah, yeah, because he did it all
Right,
during activate. So
right. Yeah, and all the searches are in the play phase otherwise.
yeah, so I can see a way that it would make sense. But yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah, you're
incumbent
on
now
camera, right?
on Silverglun to
Yeah, you're on
figure out how to.
camera.
Hmm? Oh,
Sorry, my dad came in to see what I was doing, which is totally fine. My
oh
dad
no.
can say hi to the world, but he was. I was no, camera's there. You're there. You're fine being on camera. I just want to let you know.
Hmm.
Sorry, Justin, what were you saying?
Oh no, you're fine. I was gonna say it's kind of incumbent on Silverglun now to kind of piece together his Space Force to at least represent being able to do damage somewhere, because he is being out damaged
Yeah,
3-2 at this point, and also Bastion's damage is free.
and he's paying for drains.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all he did though was
that's a
activate and recirculate, and then he put one down with
yeah.
3PO and then lost it to the Tatooine occupation. This actually does
So
seem
I
like a matchup where Odin
assume
not
he.
great, so
Yeah,
lost
I
Yoda from him.
assume he. Yeah, he doesn't need Yoda if he's already got the evac control. Um, I'm
Yeah,
guessing that he has found his
yeah,
home one, maybe on that 3PO put down.
yeah, possibly.
Uh, especially because Bastion lost the Monarch. So if he hadn't found home one and felt like he needed to keep drawing cards, he got permission to do so.
Yeah.
The problem now is that he doesn't have enough life force left to like deploy home one and put a bunch of guys on it and initiate battle that turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with the extra Star Destroyer, he's likely going to be outpowered. Maybe not likely.
Yeah,
He finally pulls the Goldenrod shield.
no. We saw the game that we watched this morning was just this massive battle between Baroni's OC Executor. Can he get to free? Oh, he
Uh,
finally got Goldenrod, but still
yeah,
getting
so it's
Executor up for 2 force
2 cost
now.
Executor, so. Yeah,
Ugh.
I mean, attacking Tatooine is just so untenable now. I mean, I guess you will cause attrition, very likely, but
I mean, he could set up at Mustafar because it's a drain of 3 right now with home one
yeah,
until Bastion finds the Vader, but
yeah,
then it's still a drain of 2 because it locks into Assault.
yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, so it's not impossible for Silvergun to get set up to where he's ahead in the damage race again. Um,
yeah, but he's just already pretty far behind on life force,
yeah,
and this is where that evac control might end up really hurting him. He effectively has 4 cards, 3 cards locked up on that, so he's gonna have to get
yeah.
some battles. That's
Um,
taco points at if he found home one.
yes. He's actually not even that far behind on life force. He's 21 to 20 is what it looks like to me, and they're even on cards in hand. Um,
No, that's right. You're right. Yeah, Bastion has more.
Bastion is certainly ahead on the damage race, but even that he's not ahead by a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Another time. 21 to 20.
They are getting to. I mean, certainly it's Bastion is heavily incentivized to try to get to the point in the game here that we're slowly getting towards, where Watto is strong in the very early game and also pretty strong in the late game. Because
Right.
once the force gets choked off enough, Lightside just can't keep 2 force back to avoid the 2 damage every turn.
Right.
Um, okay, so we shuttle down Ozzel and Blizzard Scout 1 now that we have the Walker there.
Interesting.
So
I don't know.
he's outpowered by 6.
I
No,
don't
well,
know. I mean, he's doing that over there. If this is what Bastion wants to be doing.
Um, yeah, 'cause it
I
uses all
just feel,
his force to do this too. I suppose
yeah,
there's a likelihood of a trample here,
sure.
um, which would
I feel
then
like he had put Silverglade in a pretty tough spot before, and now he's opened up a couple different ways he could maybe attack him.
mm, I mean,
Curious to see that.
he did and he didn't though because uh, Bastion deployed enough to space. He did find the home one.
Someone.
Bastion had deployed enough to space that uh, it was almost any ship and pilot and stuff could go over to Mustafar, and there isn't a lot that Bastion could reasonably have left that could come after him and threaten him meaningfully.
Sure.
So like he doesn't actually
I
even
was
have
just
to add
thinking,
anything to this to the home one here and be not worried about a beatdown in space.
what I was thinking is that Bastion, like, it feels like Bastion wasn't yet at the point where he needed to block that drain. And it didn't happen this turn, so it worked out well for him.
Right.
But I would feel like that Bastion doesn't want to. We see a Ray with 20 cards to choose from. Sorry.
every remaining force available to choose from with Ray.
I've never seen the Ray be a straight up demonic tutor before.
Although awkwardly, that since that used every force, if there is a trample here for Bastion, it can't be grabbed. There's no
Yeah.
Blizzard 2 to really take full advantage of that, but well,
Um,
oh, or an
or
Imperial
command can
Command that
grab.
also
Yeah.
can't be. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't play that command if you had Force open.
no,
Um, Perhaps a Mahdi, in case he just needs a lot more power there. Um, yeah, if I was Bastion, I would just be, Jedi Presence is a very real card in this deck, right? And I would just be a little concerned about him adding more guys to that site and trying to go for the Jedi Presence beatdown. And he didn't feel like that Bastion was under pressure yet. But on the other hand, Bastion knows his deck well,
yeah,
and he also knew at some point that obviously Silvergun's going to do what he did, which was to establish that Mustafar, and then he is losing the dream race.
yeah. Well, and that was my thought was because it's so easy for Silvergun to set up in space relatively safely that
Yeah,
um, it's not that it wasn't that difficult for him to fall behind in the damage race. So setting up this way to increase the damage because it does cause an extra damage from Tatooine occupation, and then also
right.
avoid the
Yep.
drain.
Good call.
I think all of that made it so I think that play does make sense. It's a little risky, but I think ultimately ends up being a reasonable choice. Also, Jedi presence isn't a possibility here, right? Because it costs a
Hmm?
force.
Is that right? It's not a present. Sorry, it's not an issue now. Yes, yes, yes.
Uh,
Yes, I believe it does cost a force. And I was stepping back into a hypothetical that
oh
doesn't
yeah,
even
yeah, yes,
happen.
yes.
So
In a wider sense,
yeah, I was saying
yes.
yeah, I was saying that turn by Bastion, putting all that stuff in front of it. I was envisioning a situation where then Silverglade untaps, plays like three more guys in Jedi Presence, and has a 60
Hmm.
power battle.
Sure, sure.
But I think Bastion made the calculated call, which was correct. That the next move was going to be to play home one and establish space for Silverglade, in which
Yeah.
case putting him in front of the large drain on the ground actually made a lot more sense.
Yeah, agreed. I think there's also the aspect of this increased his damage by well, it increased his damage by one, but also reduced Silvergun's damage by two,
Yep.
and in such a way put him in a position where if he didn't deploy home one that turn, it was going to be difficult to do so later.
Yep. He's going to keep losing
Yeah,
force, and
yeah. So
if,
yeah, he kind of
if,
pinned him where if the Jedi Presence battle was going to happen, it's unlikely that it would have really caused overflow. I think,
no, definitely. He would have just lost a bunch of stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah,
then he's so committed to that one site and hasn't gone to space yet.
yeah. Um, and then there's still the possibility of like a trample on Han and stuff. So yes, Justin, we're going deep on the decision trees. Well, an interesting play happened, and we were, we're trying to puzzle it out.
Well, you should have been with us earlier when we are going deep on, playing Among Us, trying to figure out if Bastion was going to allow a key reader.
Yes. All right, so we got the free force stand. Well, we got the free loss from the objective. Um, Although he did
Yep.
that.
We see that Silverglint's mainly been peeling from his life force.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's running low on life force in general, but he obviously likes some cards in his hand. So
Besides asserting that we're putting much more thought into the decision trees than Bastion might be. I don't know.
no, I think it's we're not as good as Bastion, so we have to like articulate and think it out. Whereas Bastion just instinctively made the right play. So
um, so the other thing about blocking
what
this
do you
drain
want?
too is that this the drain at Mustafar could if Bastion doesn't see another reasonable use for his shield pull, he could just pull resistance here.
Uh, yeah,
I
that's a good call.
just
He might just go with resistance.
I just
Resistance.
realized that he didn't use his firepower retrieval. Because
Wait, I,
certainly
he,
many things with
he
ability
didn't
got
have a
deployed.
he didn't have a force. He didn't have a force, right?
Um,
Isn't that a turn where he didn't have a force open? Yeah, he didn't have a force,
actually,
and
yes,
aim high is on the top.
I think you're correct. He did not have a force. Yeah,
Yeah, he didn't have a force, and aim high is on the. Yeah, Justin's saying that too. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
aim high was on the other. Bastion's 10 card hand. He's probably debating if whether to reinforce the site or if he wants to try to block the home one drain. I would think that reinforcing the site would probably just be the best play. Obviously, not knowing the 10 cards in his hand, but he's doing pretty well in the damage race now with the second site for occupation.
Yeah.
So um, I don't know if he wants to chase around home one. Yep. So he's just dropping the ball here.
This upcoming turn, decide. Yeah,
I need to know Jedi Presence cost of force.
it does. Yeah. So he wouldn't
It
be
does.
worried about it on this turn.
Yeah.
Um, so it's
But
certainly
he's worried about it next turn, so he wants to reinforce. He
yeah.
needs to reinforce the site.
It's also, I mean, it's possible that he could just attack this turn and kill Luke, so that
Yeah.
uh, Silvergun would
He
then
has
have to
to
deploy
find
another
another.
Jedi in order to do, which he very well may have. But he did lose
Well, you
an
saw him
EPP
lose
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan off the top, and then he'll definitely have an Ahsoka somewhere in the deck. About.
Yeah, yeah,
And well, we saw him lose Obi-Wan off the top, and we've seen him lose Yoda off the top.
yeah.
We have not seen Ahsoka yet, so Ahsoka certainly something to get out here. He's just drawing.
The
Just
size
want
says
to
that
confirm this that there's
there's
no Ahsoka for some absurdly terrible
um
reason. Yeah, I'm surprised there'd be no Ahsoka.
yeah, no Ahsoka in a deck with Jedi presence seems interesting.
Honestly, no Ahsoka in a light side deck that doesn't restrict you from playing Jedi like no idea is surprising to me.
Oh,
So and
yeah,
that, we see that back and forth. I mean, Ahsoka's she's right up there with Rey when it comes to just amazing character.
yeah. Oh, I don't really like this actually. So Mara moved over to help reinforce that site, but Bastion only has 2 force left against a Luke Rebel Scout, so he won't be able to make all 3 lightsaber swings unless there's a sniper combo in hand.
Yeah, but it might just be as simple that well,
He drew
he
some cards
can't
though.
move the Emperor, right?
He can't move the
And he
Emperor.
can't move the Emperor, and obviously, and so if he just wants to have extra forfeit fodder in case of Jedi presence, I mean,
Yeah,
Mara is sort of your best option.
yeah.
I think it's either move Mara or shuttle down Thrawn, which probably moving Mara makes more sense. I think Bastion has to assume that this site is where it's gonna,
Yeah.
turn. that a 5-card hand with only 14 force is not going to be enough um, uh, to attack the junkyard.
No.
And so might as well move it over. Oh, and Justin points out, Desai points out that we overlooked that Mara moves for free.
Oh, yes.
So Wedge comes out.
And Hera,
Yeah.
but I don't believe there's a Rogue Squadron pilot there for
No, there's no Rogue
Wedge.
Squadron pilot here.
So he's just forfeit fodder, which I guess is fine.
Or he
Bail.
could have Hobby. They could have Bail.
This has got to be the Jedi Presence turn, right?
Yeah. Yes, Paul. This is game 1. Game 2 is tomorrow afternoon at 3:30.
Oh, Silvergun just draws. Oh no, he draws
No,
with
he
Ray.
draws
He
with
draws with
Ray.
Ray.
He draws with Ray.
Yeah.
So he'll obviously want to use evac here since he only has one destiny of his own. His Jedi Presence.
Yeah.
So we are up to. Do the math for me.
A lot is certainly 72. All right. All right.
72.
That's 72 to
I would
37. That's a lot of force.
decide. I would assume he wanted to evac because he only left one card in his reserve.
Yeah, so he's not actually going to get to draw these multiple destinies anyway.
Yeah, so you might as well just evac to get a good card back in your hand.
You can't. Oh.
Just because it's small.
Yeah, it's probably just too small.
Yeah, he has one card in reserve, 2 cards in his force pile.
Yeah.
And we were commenting, as I think you know, that Bastian has only 2 cards in his force pile, so only gets 2 swings. If he obviously doesn't play Swing again.
So.
72 to 37, certainly large.
There's not a lot
I'm
of.
surprised. Do you think that maybe he should have? So he has 2 force active, and obviously it's hard for us to say without knowing cards in hand. And evac is pretty good because the evac lets him pick back up Lando or Chewie. But I would think that maybe you want 3 destinies and really try to push for an overflow. But
Yeah,
not.
I mean, It's so likely that Bastion has a command in hand though that you're not going to get the 3 destinies anyway. So just activating more force
That's
to
true.
put more stuff on the board seems probably better.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's true.
I agree with that. So what I was looking at was to see if there was a significant power difference of someone to trample.
Justin does point out he does have Saw, so he could actually Saw the command.
Oh, okay,
Saw
sure.
has not been used.
Nope, you're right. Saw
And
has not
then,
been
but if
used.
he used Saw, he'd have to lose another card off the top of his reserve.
Right, so you would have to like leave
So we
4.
can't. Yeah. So and yeah, going down our decision tree, which if he had hypothetically held back 2 force for 3 destinies, but then he commands, he's only holding back for 2 and losing 4.
Yeah.
So at that point, the evac makes sense. He evacs to pick up Chewbacca Protector, which can be used to cancel Veer's game text.
Yep.
Yeah, I do agree this isn't that bad for Bastian. I mean, basically, he has committed everything here. And he's not going to like cause overflow.
It seems unlikely.
Yeah. Well, especially because Bastion's going to get 2 destinies.
Yeah. The Odin Nestler combo is going to make it so that it's very possible that Silvergun's not going to lose more than just Han.
Right, because average destinies in Water are pretty low. But he still has one more swing. Canceling. Oh, good.
Oh, yes. So that gets the extra.
Luke's game text. So now he gets 2 more swings.
Yep.
Which I wonder if Bastion overlooked it too.
Oh, because he certainly
I think
didn't.
He would just.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd think he would do that
first, right? And then he could have gotten his swings in. He could have gotten the first swing.
Yeah. All right, so light
Now he's
side
on
is
71 power because Luke lost a power because of Maul. Or because he lost that game text, he doesn't get powerful swing from Maul.
Yeah. So Lightside is actually going
So
to
this is
lose a
this
fair
is not
bit of
gonna be
his
a
battle
great.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is not a great battle really for him. I mean, he's kind of down in the sense that he doesn't have any much else to do. He's Bastion really kind of put him in this situation where he
Yeah.
had to kind of go heavy to the side. But I mean, he is down currently by 34 before Destinies.
Yeah.
He's gonna get two Destinies, and Silver Gloom's gonna have to lose three guys. It's down by
Yeah.
34, so Maul
Potentially,
is 7, Mara
potential.
is 7. Those are good.
Well, he's going to potentially lose four guys if Bastion can crack a 7 on his two destinies.
Right. Oh, there's
Uh,
a Dark Time. Activate a force. Why? I'm surprised he wouldn't save that Dark Time for a Destiny draw. And so the Dark Time gets grabbed.
hmm
So now Command is live, though obviously Command doesn't add a Destiny here because Veers' Destinies are unable to otherwise. So
Right.
it's just they wanted to activate a force, as Desai points out, probably he's tracked something that he wants to make sure that he knows where it is, and he's using Palpatine to shuffle his reserve deck.
I'm really surprised there hasn't been a trample yet. I'm really surprised there wasn't a trample at all.
Yeah. And only a 2 for the Destiny, so we're looking at 74. Plus 1 from Ray. 3, so we're at 40. Yeah.
7, which is not. It's a
4.
1 less than you wanted.
Yep.
So he's down.
The Dark Time there could have made him lose one more force, but then presumably, as you said, he's looking for something. I don't know how much tracking he could be doing because he's been shuffling his reserves so much. I guess he put down the carbon blottos.
Yeah.
The 30 battle damage could be a lot worse for him. And he can let's see what he decides to lose. But it's certainly not going to be any overflow if he doesn't want to take overflow. He may
Yeah.
choose to take overflow and save something, and then easily retreat back to the junkyard and hit him for at least 4 next turn. Hit him for 4 and then retreat to the junkyard.
I wonder if it's just correct to lose all of the walkers here and try to leave all the weapons.
I mean, save Mara and Maul.
Yeah. So he has 26 left to take. This would it'd still be. It's not quite enough. It'd be 21. So you could keep Markhand and Maul and lose everything else.
Maul moves over there. Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I'm mathing that correctly either.
15 more here.
No, yeah, you can keep Maul by himself.
Yeah, you could either lose. I don't think you would do this, but you could lose Mara and Maul and leave the 2 walkers and lose a force.
Yeah, and just peel one.
Or okay, so he's losing Scout, so he's probably now going to lose Blizzard and Maul, or he might want to peel a couple.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's very hand dependent, so we're not sure if you'd rather. And he loses Maul. Okay, so you just cut Maul. I think that went pretty well for Bastion.
I would say so.
I mean, Maul's going to need to scoot back over to the junkyard probably. He can't risk another Jedi.
Yeah.
Especially if you're thinking you might not even have a Gick in the deck, as Bastion sometimes doesn't like Gicks and Rejects. But Silverglenn's, that was his shot. I mean, he's really committed everything to that site now.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to contest. Okay.
I was saying we're going to be causing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage this turn. Yeah.
So at most, he can have 10 life force or no cards in hand to go with. I mean, it's, I think, kind of a march to inevitability at this point.
Yeah, Maul can slide over and.
Yeah.
Oh, this would actually be an excellent place for Bastian to have the surprise Gick. Like if he normally doesn't play Gick but has it in this spot, that would be this would be an excellent place for it.
If he abandons the site, the next turn it's going to be a drain of 5 for Silver Glen.
Yeah.
There's a one total.
So he is losing from reserve.
Yeah, I think this is just a really bad matchup for this Guts deck in general. Kind of stepping back, I'm not sure
Yeah,
what.
this Guts deck needs to set up for a bigger battle than a typical than a Cytor TRM would,
Right.
because a Cytor TRM can attack the junkyard pretty readily. There's just
Yeah,
so many combinations of 2 or 3 characters that you beat down, kill Watto, and just do a ton of damage.
blaster proficiency, you got solo.
Yeah,
Even if you don't have the ability to draw Destiny, you got Leia's blaster rifle. Like you've got a lot of
yeah.
options there.
There's a lot of good possibilities, but this deck doesn't seem to have very much of that.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, this deck is really looking to crack a large stack of characters on Cloud City. Like or on Jabba's Palace.
yeah.
Having to do it on Tatooine is tougher. But I guess I'm a little surprised that Silver Glen would roll this out without any sort of maybe consideration for Watto. I mean, Bastion's a pretty prolific Watto player. It is what he used to qualify for the OCS. In the month that he qualified, he was on Watto.
I mean, it certainly feels like this is. I mean, this is a hedge to try to beat up on ISB or
And
quarter
court.
a quarter CCT.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, which
But
is
Bastion's range is is pretty big though. I
yeah.
mean, he likes. I mean, he's played a decent amount of kind of what I think of as like tier 2-ish type like dark side mains. Um, and so I would be a little hesitant to overly, tune your deck for just a couple specific matchups. So at
I
this
don't.
point, probably playing for differential almost.
Yeah. I,
Or unless there's a way that he can split up the characters, try to block both sites and threaten Jedi presence at both of them. But he'd need a second Jedi before it's even an option. So we see
yeah.
Stalker.
And then presumably Tyrant will move over.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point,
Tyrant move over.
probably even
Good.
like Tyrant and Executor.
I was going to say maybe it's Tyrant moves over, ship docks, put Thrawn on Stalker, and now he's really got him kind of
Mm,
stuck.
yeah.
Now Thrawn on Stalker is going to follow home one no matter where it goes. Stalker is such a nasty card. It's so good.
Yeah. Stalker's excellent. Tyrant was interesting because certainly Stalker and Vengeance are pretty much givens in a Death Squadron assignment deck like this, but squeezing in the extra Death Squadron assignment Star Destroyer is uh,
Yeah,
a big help to your space. I mean, even besides Executor, like
I
an
mean,
additional Imperial Star
in
Destroyer.
seven, yeah, in 7 deploy,
Yeah.
it's definitely legitimate for this time.
Welcome, Frost Cyborg. Glad to see you're
Yeah,
checking out where the game is now.
always good to have some old school players back.
Yeah. I'm one of the unusual ones who
Vengeance.
never played without virtual cards. So
How did you get into the game, Justin?
um, I picked up some cards from like an out of print wholesaler. Um, a couple of years ago, and then a few years after that, it was like right around set 8 or 9. Started playing with like my brother and one of my friends, and then I
Oh,
randomly saw that they were holding Colorado States at a gaming pub that I worked at, and then met Jerry and the other Colorado team guys, and then just been playing a lot since then. So Gemp
that's
helped a
awesome,
lot.
man.
Gemp helped a lot. Would not be playing without Gemp. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely a really great story. I mean, you don't hear that many players who, it's just especially in the last couple of years.
yeah, I mean, I will admit, I remember there was like a special edition article talking about Hunt Down way back in the day, and I had no idea what any of the words on Hunt Down or Epic Duel did, but they showed pictures of the cards. I'm like, this looks awesome, and then I never got into that. It's been really sad though that I've been playing mostly competitive the last couple of years because Hunt Down's really not been very good for the last couple of years. So
I'm gonna say it now. I think Hunt Down might have a chance to kind of come back into the meta.
I always hope
I
so.
think R2 basically being nerfed to the point where probably people won't play him anymore will help a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and no
no idea
idea.
getting taken down a
Yeah,
notch to.
yeah. I was talking about this morning actually when I was chatting with Mike on stream, which was that actually no ideas erratas. I think it'll still be a pretty good deck.
Mhm.
But the errata makes it so that tier two decks that were having problems fighting it, like Hunt Down, have a better shot now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I actually think it doesn't change. Well, I guess ISP is in the deck, but like its court matchup, I think is still basically the same. I think a lot of the
Yep.
changes, a lot of the strengths No Idea had versus court, like in particular the ability to split space, is still there. So we see Leia gets added to home one, so
Yeah.
Leia can add a destiny to attrition here.
Mhm.
So he could have two destinies in attrition destiny, but he only has two cards in his pack.
Yeah.
But we do see him initiate a battle. Battle is pretty far down already. He's already down by 10 in power.
This is also a tough battle too because there's basically no way he's gonna win it. So vengeance is gonna
Yeah.
cause a ping for sure.
Yep.
With our
And if he has command, you already used his grab. So
yeah.
Bastian could use command here to add a destiny. He probably won't limit the destinies because if he does, Leia will just add to the attrition. About the same. I mean, this is
Yeah.
obviously kind of a desperation last move. He does add to Christian Destiny with Leia.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, obviously, Bastion won't play command to add a Destiny because there's still two cards in evac control,
Right.
which is probably that's what that's why he's using Leia to add attrition because he's going to exactly
Yeah.
use evac control to basically get a life force. Yeah, it's tough because he's so far down on power. But even if he does kill a couple of guys or kill a ship and a guy,
Yeah.
he's still going to lose the force to vengeance, and then he's going to have to lose out of the layer of the Akbar.
Yeah. Just this point's reasonable though that the alternative options for Leia here are not very good. So he does show
It's
up
true.
back to back
It's
quite
true.
a mercenary
Yeah. I
Vs.
mean, yeah, I'm definitely being too pessimistic. He's in a very bad spot in this game, and this is probably the best play that he had
Yeah.
for sure. So he loses a force, and then he's down by 9. So Leia could cover 7. So he's either gonna have to lose both things off the ship or lose Leia +2. We'll presumably lose Madi and
I would say probably Stalker would be my guess, but
No, he's gonna lose vengeance because he still has the force open. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Oh,
Besides the frequency.
to follow
Yeah.
the one. Sure.
Yeah, he'd follow if it's all.
This is
And
Akbar.
chooses to forfeit Akbar. Losing force. He could move the home one over.
Shuttle up
Well, if he
array.
uses one force to move home one, he can only shuttle one guy up onto it. Usually probably shuttle Ray up. Maybe.
Yeah.
A card shark. No, Bastian did not use command to limit. Um, but it's possible as an action that he like because evac was used, he probably didn't obviously bother using command. So we don't know as if evac had not been used if he would have used command or not.
Yeah.
If he just moves home one over and Stalker follows, that's really bad for him. He's down 31 to 9.
Yeah, I think he just has to leave home one there.
Yeah. Yeah, not even close. So next turn he's gonna take drain of 1, occupation damage of 1, Tatooine system drain. So he's taking 3 for sure. He's obviously debating whether or not he needs to draw cards or to leave 2 force open.
Yeah. Actually, MHC the exact opposite. Silvergun open-handed both of his both Boss Nest Chamber and JCC. He hasn't played a character to the junkyard all game. Uh, we had
Yeah, no, he had a fantastic start. He had all the activation at the beginning.
yeah his I Besides asking if MHC if they had the according to my design start in testing. I would presume that I would certainly also agree with this. I would assume that they did, but
So we're down to 6 life force. 7 if there's a battle and you can pick up the card off the evac.
yeah. I don't believe that these remaining 4 cards are tracked in a way that we're aware of.
You see Dr. E being played to flip the objective. The card down. He's going to spend 2 force to let him play it for free.
Grand Moff Tarkin. Okay. So Tyrant can move
And
over and
Stalker. Stalker. Yes, Tyrant will move over. Stalker will follow it.
just move
So,
Maul. Do you just move Maul over with Doctor E, or just retreat Doctor E?
no, he just moved Dr. E.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Any reason why Bastards already got 3 cards in hand. He can use the drain for. Might be a difference in 1 life force differential, maybe. If those aren't. I guess there could be cards he wants to put back, but I don't see any need for him to block the drain. I mean, even with 0 cards in hand. I guess maybe I'm just being overly conservative. I get nothing that bad could happen, right? You move over Maul, Doctor E, you knock out 2 guys. They gotta then leave 2 force open, but he doesn't want to draw cards anyway. So
Yeah.
obviously with 0 cards, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, like you'd be in like kind of down 13 power or 13 to 26, but not really because you kill 2 guys and then
Right.
yeah. Also, the 2 players do know what those 2 cards in Bastion's reserve are, so he knows what the first swing with
Right.
Doctor with Maul will look like.
Yeah. Yeah, this is totally reasonable.
Yeah. Ending the game sooner and reducing diff. This all makes sense.
Lots of drains. Next turn, you can hit him for. He'll guaranteed at least to hit him for 2.
Yeah.
Justin Bastian currently has 17 life force. and 3 cards in hand.
Versus 6 and 0
I guess it's 20.
for Justin.
Yeah, yeah, 7. It'll be should be a full win by, yeah, 18. It's not an impossible margin to overcome, of course. But definitely a good spot to be in.
Should fight losing a 17. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh,
He
he's got plans this turn.
doesn't appear to be trying to suicide battle. Drew with Ray, left a force back for a card back for presumably a Battle Destiny draw. Can
Yeah.
Galen put back non-enemy to alter? So he can't put
No,
back launching the assault.
there's no effect in play for Galen to target it.
Yeah.
Another side.
I didn't think so, but it's been a while since I've read Galen, so. I've seen Galen do some sick things. You can tuck scum, which is cool.
Yeah, we saw this morning. Galen put back the first they must leave the city that was deployed. So basically, slow down Greg by at least a turn, being able to play his free executor.
That's excellent. I do like that. You got to get the Galen pretty quick for that, but if you do, so Justin's still in his activate phase, trying to puzzle out exactly what he's going to do with this turn.
And now he's in the activate another force. So
Yeah.
presumably he's going to draw up here too.
Yeah, he could also do what Justin said and just fight and lose by just peel everything.
Right. So he
But
doesn't get to put the card back with Wada.
yeah. Well, I mean, if he draws up, it's the same difference. If there's a used interrupt or something, Bastian will get to put it back. So
He's already used his grab, so if he's got a command, he can throw the command back.
or if his Force Lightning is in hand, he can target practice on Watto.
I don't know. I lost track of that.
I mean, she's saying he swapped his opponent's his 0 destiny for his opponent's 5 destiny with Galen.
All right, so we see Silver going drawn up. So we're going to see
Yep.
if Bastian has a used interrupt here now.
There
Yep, he
is the
does. So he
command.
has the command. So probably by 18, unless he also has
Force Lightning.
discard an assignment. Or Force Lightning.
Or Death Squadron Assignment.
Sure.
There's a couple used interrupts that go in this deck.
See?
Nope.
And that's it. Okay, so we have a full win of 18 for Bastian.
Yep. Yeah, it seemed like a tech choice that went slightly awry. I don't feel like it's a horrendous matchup for this build of TRM, but clearly not the deck that he was anticipating. So
yeah. I mean, it does seem interesting that I wonder what Silverglenn's plan was that went awry. I mean, he had that pretty early strong deploy to Mos Espa, and the fact that he went there and didn't attack Watto obviously was a bit of a signal to Bastion that he was safe with Watto, and then he could start building up on Tatooine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, being able to
that was a good game.
Yeah, being able to set the Tatooine occupation is a huge deal. Getting your mid game damage in can be a challenge with Watto, but Bash was able to do it pretty well here. So
Yeah, well, a really well played game, but also not an impossible amount at all for Silverglund to overcome. I mean,
mhm.
18 is obviously solid, but I think he could come in with a pretty, I don't think he needs to adjust his game plan too much for tomorrow in the sense that, what's kind of cool about the OCS is that people get to pick their decks. There's not deck lists.
Mhm.
So, like, if you lose by a lot, you could really go in for some sort of maybe he does a Dark Jedi Presence beatdown deck for Dark. I try to, but 18 is totally reasonable.
Yeah,
So he might just play like a good standard, something like a legend,
yeah, like a
which even
legend
force
or
him to game. I'm
uh,
sorry, he was late.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
he could run
the
he
ISB.
can run an ISB and play it maybe a little
Yeah,
more aggressively than you normally would in order to get the win by 18. But you probably don't
yeah.
even have to change that much. So
No, ISB can certainly march its way forward to a win by 20 preview.
yeah, yeah.
And I believe for everyone, that game is tomorrow at, let me check the streaming schedule. Tomorrow at 3:30.
Let me see.
Yep, scheduled for 3:30 tomorrow. We actually have we got 3 games tomorrow. We got 9 a.m. We got game two, sometime between 9 and 9:30. The time hasn't been set yet, but sometime tomorrow morning we'll have game two, Greg Shaw and Steve Baroni, and then in the afternoon we have game one of Justin Desai versus Tom Damon, and then the second game between Bastian and Justin Branch.
All right.
Great.
Well, thanks everybody for
Well, thank
joining
you.
us.
Thanks
Uh,
everyone.
I think that's going to cover us for the day as far as our
Yep.
Star Wars coverage goes. But join us tomorrow for some more coverage.
All right.
Have a good
Thanks everyone.
afternoon, good night, everybody, guys. See ya.